Hello and welcome to Anarchy in the Ukulele with me, P.Man. Today I am going to be reviewing this new EP called Home Now by Warehouse of Thieves. If you don't know who Warehouse of Thieves are, they used to be called the League of Ukulele Gentlemen, but they've changed their name recently just to get a slightly broader appeal, really. So this EP, I think it came out about 3 weeks ago. I first heard it, I was doing a gig in Jersey, and the sound engineer was Andy Webster, and Andy is in Warehouse of Thieves. He's the singer, and he was the sound engineer. He did a couple of songs actually there. He did a great song with Pete Moss. He did a version of It Don't Mean a Thing If I Ain't Got That Swing. And then after that, he got up and he did a solo version of the main song on here called Home Now. So it was just him singing, and he had a backing track. And the song instantly wowed me. I only heard it once, but it stuck in my mind like any great song does. I mean, Andy's got an amazing voice anyway. He's got a very operatic voice. You know, he's a bit sort of rock opera. There's a bit of Meat Loaf in his voice. The singer, not the food. And I heard the song, and as soon as I got home, I was really excited when this was going to be released and ordered it straight away. It's $8.99 and there's 6 songs on here. So in the band we have Andy Webster, who's the main singer. He's also doing some ukulele, fine ukulele player, well, fine musician actually. There's then Matt Warnes. Matt Warnes is another fine ukulele player, and he's writing the majority of the songs. They're kind of collaborative efforts, but I think Matt's sort of the main focus on the songwriting. Matt's also doing ukulele. There's then Jerry King, and then there's Tim and Jake Smithies. Okay, so what have we got here? Well, we've got 5 tracks, and if I had to sum it up, I mean, other than saying it's fantastic, and I mean, the first song, Home Now, I'll put the video on in a minute. The guys in the band have kindly let me put the video into this video, and also they've done an interview where I've asked them a load of questions. But Home Now is an amazing song. It's just one of those songs that it gets in your head. It's very sort of, it's like an anthem, very anthemic, if you can say that word. It reminds me of latter day Dire Straits in a bizarre way, but more Mark Knopfler's kind of stuff. Crossed with, I would say, a bit of the Waterboys, a bit of the Saw Doctors. There's a bit of folk rock in there, a bit of Celtic rock. Parts of it remind me of, like, if you took the 80s band, The Alarm, and sort of softened it down a bit. It reminds me of that kind of thing. And his brilliant vocals, they remind me a little bit of the chap from Elbow, actually, Guy Garvey. You know, he's got a great voice for sort of rock and pop songs and folk, but you could also imagine him quite easily doing opera or classical, something like that. The other songs on here, you'll have to excuse me if I pronounce this badly, but the Spirit of Sihuanaba, I'm sure that's wrong, but there you go. It's a real sort of crescendo of a song. It's got this thumping 4/4 beat to it, a really nice bass drum going all the way through it, and lovely laid back vocals. Although, I mean, I'm not going to say they're predominantly a ukulele band, but they kind of are, because the ukulele appears a lot. It's mixed so beautifully, and I think that's why, for me, it's correct that they've changed their name, because I think they are predominantly ukulele based, but they're so much more than that, and it would be a shame if they were just pigeonholed into that sort of ukulele festival scene. You know, these guys, you could see them playing sort of festival, all of those, you know, sort of folk places, and even the rockier ones, actually. Take Heart, the third track, is quite a melancholy piece. Old Mr. Warnes, he's quite a melancholy chap. I think he's spent a lot of time listening to things like the Smiths, Anthony and the Johnsons, you know, that kind of stuff, Slow Dive. His lyrics they're really beautiful lyrics, actually, but they are pretty melancholic. At the same time, the songs are pretty uplifting, especially Home Now. You really, well, and Take Heart, you come away from it feeling like, yeah, I've just listened to a great song there. The next one on there, Pilgrim's Fire, Starts with a beautiful, soft, meandering piano, and then, well, I've got it down as being guitar lead, but I think Matt corrects me in the questions that I've asked him that it's actually ukulele. Whatever it is, guitar or ukulele, it's a beautiful sort of lead that doesn't overpower it. Sort of meanders through the piano notes that are going on through there. And then the final one, Atlantic Story, that's an interesting one. It sort of starts almost with like monk-like chanting, and then it's overpowered by these cool Stevie Wonder-like, funky, almost Hammond-like vibes, which is really good. And then some more keys kick in, and that's another brilliant song. I mean, I was expecting this to be good because I'd heard the first song, but often, you know, it's like when you go out and buy an album, you buy it because of the hit single, and then the rest of the album's no good. This is the opposite. The other songs stand up equally well, I would say. It's mixed really, really well. You know, it's very, very professional mix. It's a great cover as well. All the playing is of a very, very high standard. These guys, I think at the moment they're supporting the South, which is, I think, half of the beautiful South, I think, although they're a band in their own right. And they're playing a lot of festivals. I'm really hoping that at some stage I'll get to see them. That would be very, very exciting. Hopefully our paths will cross. I mean, I recommend it if you're into ukulele. I recommend it because there's some really strong ukulele playing on here. If you're into good music, I recommend it. Simple as that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put the main song that they kindly sent me the video for, Home Now, on. I genuinely think anyone would like it. I fail to see how you wouldn't like it. I mean, I played it to my daughter, and she's got, you know, she's 13 coming on 14, so she's at a stage where she's really finding her musical taste, and she instantly liked it. And you know, if you've got me, what am I, 21? You know, of slightly older generation liking it, and then a 13-year-old liking it, I think that says something as well. I hope it does well. It really deserves to. At the end of the day, they've done an EP that they should be very, very proud of, and I'm sure they are. It's just been, I would imagine they feel like it came together on this one, that they just managed to get it right. So well done them. What I'll do, I'll put the Home Now video on next, and then please hang about to the end of the video because the guys in the band have answered some questions that I sent them, and it's really interesting to sort of have a chat with them about it. So here we have it, Warehouse of Thieves, Home Now, $8.99, available at the World of Uke store and other places. Do catch them live. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video.
The house was quiet and the world was calm, washed in the weather of 100 years. The thunder of quiet was all we found, voices quelling forgotten fears, and we home now. You're safe to a drum, your heartbeat and mine. Within these walls, never alone. The muffled beat of marching time, mocking our praise, leading us home. And we flowers fall like blood red leaves, and we look ahead and see through stone the silkworm of time we stole from the past. With the secret eyes our lives have known, and we're home now. You're safe here. We float words like kites, hearts shot through with sunlight. We float words like kites and cast them to the night, and we're home now. You're safe here. We're home now. You're safe here. The house was quiet and the world was calm.
Hello, thanks for having us on. I'm Matt,
I'm Andy.
I'm Jerry.
and together we are Wild Stallions. No, that's that
That's
film
different.
from the 80s, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah,
That's not going to happen, that one.
No, we are Warehouse of Thieves. We play either as a 3, a 4 and a 5. If there's 4 and a 5, that's Tim and Jake Smithies from Deadman's Uke. And we're delighted to be on and talk about our new EP, Home Now.
Absolutely.
Home Now, yeah, it's interesting how these songs develop. I wouldn't say I specifically wrote it to be sad or happy. Well, I certainly wouldn't.
You've never been known to write something that's happy.
That's true. But I tend to collect words and phrases and little bits of language which appeal to me. And
You've got
then
a notebook, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got a
little notebook.
I've got a notebook.
He's got a notebook.
And when I write a song, I tend to borrow from this list and try and bring something together in a coherent way. So it can, I don't really set out to say, right, I'm going to write a sad song, although it's pretty much a given with me.
Yeah.
I tend to write out, just go out with a song, and I kind of borrow these ideas and see where it takes me. So it wasn't intentionally a sad song or a happy song, but
Or a coherent one for that.
or a coherent one. But yeah, I like to think I'd get somewhere in the end.
Yeah.
Which we did.
Which we did.
Yeah. So we started off with the words, which Jerry calls worms.
Worms, the worms. Yeah.
Because that's his kind of level of humour. But I started off with the words, sent them to Jerry, and
Yes.
he basically took it from there.
I did. So I went for the. It was chord based around the piano, I have to say, but a lot of the riffs that happen in it are uke riffs. So all I could do is lay down the basic chords, and I was very driven with because the words are melancholic. I think that's the word for it, is it?
Yeah.
I went for major seventh chords because they have a melancholic air to them. So the C major seventh and the F major seventh chords throughout which worked well on keyboard, and it meant that it gave you free rein to do some driving riffs over the top of it on the uke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So simple but effective riffs. I like to. I like a riff because it makes you look impressive, but it's actually usually quite easy. So.
Well, it's also a hook, isn't it,
Yeah.
to the song? Because although major seventh chords are there and it kind of gives it an air, it doesn't give it the hook, and the hook can be the rhythms and the riffs that you do.
Yeah.
Backing singers' voices.
Backing
our voices
vocals only.
Yeah.
So
backing vocals.
you can write something and you want it to be good, and if you want it to be good, then you give the singing part to the person who's best at singing, which is Andy.
And the thing about this one is that it's got really long held notes. So
being an ex-brass player means I've got big
he's got
healthy
the lungs.
lungs. You say,
He's got the lungs for it, yeah. Because I wanted the notes to last a long time for the vocal lines. So
And we came up with a melody, and then it sort of developed from there, didn't it?
Yeah, so I might have an idea of how it would go in my head, which I'll pass on, but you pretty much...
Well, yeah, I might have an idea that is not that,
Yeah.
and go for it.
Yeah, and I've no problem with that, because we all kind of agree on everything. I mean, just because Andy's singing, we might suggest a different way of singing it, which he will listen to or not. But the same goes for my riffs or Jerry's keys.
Yeah.
It's an evolving process, and we're not really...
it is very much evolving, isn't it?
And we learn not to be precious.
Yeah, we try not to...
It evolves all the time, even when we're performing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It changes and evolves. You know, the structure stays pretty much the same, but little things will.
Yeah,
other
songs
things
need to
will
develop.
Yeah, but
evolve.
ultimately all end up as our songs, not as
Yeah.
my song or his song or whatever.
Yeah.
We like to try and make them as. Whenever there's a sound guy involved, we're going for a big sound, big round, big booming sound. So we try to get that sort
They
of.
never listen to what we say. Don't we?
That's the plan anyway.
So there is a little bit of guitar on the EP, which was provided by the sound engineer Pete.
Pete Ord, by the way, who's fabulous.
He's very good indeed. So, but they are little fills and just things to flesh out the sound a bit. But the solos that you've mentioned there are actually on ukulele. I play the ukulele through a lot of effects, so those solos are uke solos, not guitar solos. But what I always think about this is I'm not particularly worried about my ukulele sounding like a ukulele. I just happen to be better at playing the ukulele than I am at any other instrument. So it becomes a tool for making the sound that I want. And I have heard it quite a few times. Why don't you just play the guitar? Well, I can't play the guitar as well as I can play the ukulele, so that's what I play. And if it sometimes sounds like a guitar, well, that's because the sound I'm after.
But that's always been our aim, is to make the ukulele sound, diverse and to show off what it can actually do. Whether it sounds like a guitar, so be it. But it's
it's just a tool for making sound.
Yeah.
And making music. Nothing against ukuleles that sound like ukuleles at all, but that's just not the way we tend to go.
Okay, so when we were recording the album, we went for as big a sound as possible, which meant using keys and bass and drums and various other effects in there as well, because if it had just been ukes, it would have sounded very trebly, and you don't get the full audio spectrum if you just use that.
As the band's evolved now, because it's not mainly ukes anymore. There's Matt on lead uke, I play rhythm uke, but we've also got Jerry playing generally 2 keyboards, Jake on bass and Tim on drums. So although ukes are a big part of it, that's not the overall sound anymore. And without production actually on stage, it's not a trebly sound because of the sound we now create.
Mm-hmm.
with your driving, the wash on the keyboard and Jake on his bass and drums, it's a big bold sound.
It's a lot easier to make it not sound flat when you've got so many things. If you've got 3 voices singing, bass, key, 2 keyboards, low G uke, and an effects-driven ukulele, then it's quite. Sometimes we have to be careful to strip it back rather than worrying about it being a bit thin.
And we've doubled the voices up.
Yeah, the voices are doubled. Even the ukes are doubled. Everything's doubled.
Yeah.
Up, so that
It's multi-layered, multi-track. So, and also we had whistles in there. We had a bit of accordion going on in there. We had Pete Ord playing the guitar. He used electric and acoustic, I think.
You said you didn't play other instruments. You were playing the whistle, weren't you?
Oh yeah.
You played the whistle.
Well, I wouldn't say it was my forte, but
Okay.
Well, you did record a tune. He didn't use it.
Oh yeah.
But he used your sound.
Yeah, he did.
He just changed the tune.
Well, he improved it. He added a few extra notes.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of being in a sound studio with a great producer, because it just grew and layered and layered and layered, and that's why the sound's so big.
Mm-hmm.
The answer to that is we did both. So Pete took a feed out through a DI, and also used instrumental mics and combined both to make the sound, and embellished it a bit where it needed it. And Matt obviously normally plays through his Line 6 effects pedal. Pete listened to those effects and then recreated them through his desk and the software.
Just little things like a tempo change, and you've got delay. And if he's wanting something to be slightly faster or slightly slower, my delay is out of phase. So he would instead build that delay in from the mic sound. So it was all very clever, but we just played, and then it kind of came out the other end really nice.
But yes, the answer is both, mic and plugged in.
Just 2. I'm using an electroacoustic. It's a Unaru tenor. I play high G, and I've got a MySide pickup. So that's mine, and then there's Andy's.
Yeah, I have a Kiwaya mahogany tenor. I use a low G, a Fremont squeakless low G, I have to say. Again with a MySide pickup. So that's what we use, just the 2 tenor ukes.
And the boudoir grand piano, of course.
Well, we did
And the
have
boudoir grand piano.
Yeah, the boudoir grand piano.
That is true. The piano was recorded using the studio's grand piano, which was ideal in 2 ways. One, it was a beautiful sound, beautiful piano, and 2, it meant Jerry had to be in a different room.
Somewhere else, yes. I thought you were coming to that one, yes. Somewhere else, you mean, yes.
He was sat in the concert hall, which is hardwired multi-chord into the sound studio. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And nowhere near you, basically.
That's why it's brilliant.
Yeah, I get that.
Take Heart is about sort of overcoming adversity and finding ways to deal with difficult situations. So it's not entirely uplifting, because in order to overcome a challenge, you've got to have a challenge. But I did set out to perhaps not be quite as miserable as I would have liked, as I naturally am, and write something a bit more uplifting. But then these 2 kind of co-opted it and brought it back down again.
We did, yeah, because both our fathers died quite close to each other, and it became a song. My dad used to like it because it's about helping you drive through things that are going in your life, and taking inspiration from those around you. And we used to say it's a song for the dads. And and it was one of his favourites as well.
And my dad never heard it.
No, but it would have been one of his favourites.
It would have been, yes. Although we did like Beethoven.
Okay. So Matt does these sort of deep, meaningful things, and the songs I write, like "See You in a Bar," which is on the album, and also "The Maid of Raven's Crag." Those 2
frivolous.
Are frivolous, yes, upbeat, and
A bit more fun.
Give the audience a break. Come on. Funnily enough, those 2 about ladies standing on top of high-edged cliffs.
Yeah, there's a pattern going on there.
There is,
there?
yeah.
Yes. Okay. Is there something you want to discuss about this?
And the other one I wrote was an upbeat one about a it's a smuggling ship. There we go.
Yeah.
Rosamund the Cutter. And Jerry, you've written several. The Jacobean one.
Yes, although technically it's not really about the Jacobean army. Did you know that?
No.
No. Okay.
Well, that's probably a plus point.
Yes, well done. But that's upbeat.
Yeah.
And it involves Tim
It does involve
representing
a
the
beat.
Jacobean army
Yes.
on the drums all
Does
the way
involve
through.
A heavy beat all the way through. Yes. Yeah.
So did that answer the question? I don't know.
Might have done. Yeah.
I think we got there in the end. You've brought that about, I believe.
Yeah, Southern Beauty. So when I was in Eastbourne the last time at the Bracklesham Festival, Southern Beauty played on the Saturday night, and they were amazing. They were a quartet fronted by Alison Wheeler from the beautiful South, and basically they've broken down all the beautiful South numbers into little jazzy swing numbers now. It's amazing, but her voice is just the beautiful South. It's incredible, wonderful sound. She fronts another bigger band called the South as well, but yeah, we're playing a few dates with Southern Beauty, and I think it's going to be a really good mix of two totally different styles of bands. They are made up of keyboard, bass, ukulele and vocal. So yeah,
We are as well, aren't we?
we are pretty much that. Yeah,
Right, just checking.
yeah. They haven't got drums,
Ah. We can loan them.
but they're jazz and we're what are we?
Folky, rocky
Oh,
pop.
Yeah, all sorts of things. Yeah. So yeah, it came about just through a meeting and also a discussion on the ferry back across from the Isle of Wight. It was the Isle of Wight, not Eastbourne.
Did you lie about that? Okay.
I think I lied about that to start with. It was the Isle of Wight. So we had a conversation on the ferry coming back from there with Phil, and that's how we grew from there.
Mhm.
The name change to Warehouse of Thieves, it all came about over a few years actually. I wrote the song called Rosamund the Cutter about this smuggling ship that goes from Dumfries and Galloway across the Isle of Man. And the Isle of Man in the late 1700s, 1800s was called the Warehouse of Frauds. And every time we sang it afterwards, Tim would say, "Oh, it's a great name for a band." But we thought Warehouse of Frauds was a bit extreme.
Yeah.
So we
Scaled
changed
it back a little bit.
We scaled it back to Thieves.
Yeah.
So yeah, Warehouse of Thieves is where it came from. And when we were thinking about a name, when we decided to actually change it in the end, that's where it went.
Mm-hmm.
So there.
Yeah. What he said.
Yeah. Well, we certainly want to get back in the studio, want to keep that process going. We wrote a song out in Galway, a Galway Ukulele Festival, which was superb. We wrote a song out there inspired by Galway and David it while we were there. It went down very well. Could have been lots of Guinness from the audience involved, but it certainly went down well. So we're going back
We
to
had lots of
record.
Guinness.
Everyone had lots of Guinness,
Yes.
and the song went down well. That's probably a good recipe.
Yeah.
So we're going to record that, and we have loads of other projects, loads of songs we haven't recorded.
Yeah.
We've got an album of Scottish songs, partly because we'd like to tour in Scotland more. So we'll be going to do that live. We've got things coming up.
We've got various gigs coming up, a couple of festivals coming up, a couple of theatre gigs coming up. Undoubtedly we'll do something at Christmas, and then next year we've been booked for a few festivals already. So yeah, who knows what will happen? Things are developing all the time.
That's a tricky one. What are you going to say, Andy?
Well, from a very, very early age, I liked Elton John, and I've always
He never
loved...
liked you.
No, he didn't.
He didn't.
No, he didn't. No,
He never mentioned you at all. Any of his songs.
No, he didn't.
That's so rude.
No, it should have been me, not Daniel.
Not quite.
Anyway, the song "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me," I've always thought is an epic, which is the sort of stuff we do. We make things epic, but it's just an amazing song, well written, and I always thought from a young age that I should have written that song.
Yeah, you should have done.
I should have done. Been a millionaire.
He wouldn't be sitting here. He wouldn't be sitting here with me and him. It'd be a good result all round.
Yes.
I just kind of took this as being my favourite song, or I got it actually right down to my favourite line.
Oh.
So I I live in a world where I wish it was 1996, 97. That's partly why a lot of my songs are melancholy, because there's this nostalgic feeling. So I'm quite comfortable feeling a little bit sad that it's not the old days. And Radiohead was a big part of my teenage years, and the song "No Surprises" is my favourite song, and the favourite line in that is "Heart that's full up like a landfill, job that slowly kills you," and I wish I'd written that. Yeah.
Oh, my turn.
Your turn.
Yeah. No, I grew up in the 70s, and I loved bands like Supertramp, and Genesis, and things like that. But when I thought about what song I would have actually have liked to have written, it's actually Monteverdi's Beatus Vir, which is a sublime piece of music. It might have been written several hundred years ago, and I do conduct and sing in lots of choirs, and it's just the most amazing piece of music.
Do you grow up in the 1770s?
1770s. That was it. Yes. 1770s. Yeah, they were good times. Yeah.
So look out on the next album for Monteverdi.
Monteverdi. I would do a Monteverdi album, definitely. Can we do that?
A
Actually?
Monteverdi ukulele crossover album.
Yeah.
No one else is doing that.
No,
We'll do it.
true.
Can we do that?
I'm giving it away now.
I'm doing that. Definitely doing that.
Oh, the hat.
Oh, my hat.
The hat.
Oh, the hat.
The hat.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, bless it.
Do we have to go there?
R.I.P. The hat. It
Oh,
died.
yeah. Your head shrunk.
Okay, well,
You went to Papua New Guinea.
the real story is a while ago I was cycling down a very narrow fenced alleyway, and it got too narrow, and unfortunately I slipped to the side and my head bounced to and fro, and both my ears were lost. So now I have plastic ears fitted, and the reason I can't wear a hat is because it's obviously sit on my ears, and if I wear one, they fall off.
People were shouting them all the time. You couldn't hear them.
No. But the real story is, 4 years ago, I lost 5 stone and my head shrunk. And my hat came down to here.
That was quite a heavy head then, wasn't it?
It was all off his head.
Off his head. Yeah.
I've tried to buy another hat, and I have had another hat, but the brim's too big. So we are in the process of getting me a new hat. So let it be known, I will have a hat.
You could just get a really massive fat head again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then fit your old one.
You should eat more. Less exercise, more food.
Okay.
Yes.
We can revitalise the hat that once was. Yeah. Bring back the hat. We can have a campaign.
All right.
I think we've done it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Bye.